The flight attendant looked me up and down twice, then smirked and said, "Sir, first class is for our premium passengers only." I had the ticket in hand. First class, fully paid, but apparently a black man in a hoodie didn't look premium enough. 45 minutes later, that same flight attendant was standing red-faced in the aisle as I quietly handed out first-class upgrades to every passenger except her. Let me tell you how I turned their humiliation into a high-altitude lesson in power, pride, and payback. If you've ever been underestimated, ignored, or disrespected simply because of how you look, this story is for you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stick around, because what happens next? Oh, it's the kind of justice you want to rewind and watch twice. I wasn't dressed to impress that day. Black hoodie, joggers, running shoes. I had just wrapped up a sleepless 48-hour coding marathon with my tech team in London. We finally closed a final round of funding. $22 million secured. Series B complete. I was exhausted, mentally, physically, emotionally. But beneath that fatigue was a quiet pride. Because this flight, it was my first time flying back home as the official CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. I had paid for the ticket myself, no assistance, no PR team, just me, a window seat in first class, a little celebration for surviving the storm. But apparently, my skin color and wardrobe didn't match the airline's image of who deserves to sit up front. At the gate, the trouble started. "Sir," the attendant said, holding up a perfectly manicured hand. "First class is to the left." I smiled and nodded. "That's where I'm headed." She tilted her head. "Do you have your boarding pass?" I handed it to her. She scanned it. Her smile faded. "You're in 1A?" "Yes." Long pause. Then a fake smile. "Let me just double check something." She turned to her colleague, whispered something with a glance in my direction. They both looked at me like I'd just stolen a boarding pass. She came back. "Sir, we've had some inconsistencies. Please step aside while we sort this out." I felt eyes turning toward me. Other passengers stepping past me like I was some kind of criminal holding up the line. That slow, hot burn of humiliation started crawling up my neck. I wanted to shout, "I paid for this ticket with the same kind of money every first-class passenger uses." But I didn't. I stepped aside. 15 minutes passed. Then 20. Finally, the gate agent returned. "There was a mix-up," she said. "We verified the ticket. You may board." No apology, no acknowledgement. I walked down that jet bridge feeling like a ghost. Like I was only allowed to exist in that cabin, because they couldn't prove otherwise. When I reached 1A, the flight attendant standing by the seat looked up, saw me, and audibly sighed. "You again?" she muttered under her breath. That did it. What they didn't know was this. I wasn't just a passenger. I was the founder and CEO of one of the fastest growing black-owned tech firms in the country. My company specializes in enterprise automation for aviation. We've worked with 6 airlines, 3 airports, and 1 international booking system. I knew exactly how these airlines operated, and more importantly, who I could call. I didn't scream. I didn't raise a fuss, but I did take out my phone. A few quick texts to my executive assistant. One call to our public relations consultant, then another to the airline's regional partnership manager, whom I had met at a tech conference just 3 weeks ago. I didn't even need to name drop. I simply said, "Hey, I'm on flight 847 to Atlanta. Something happened. I'll explain more later. Could you monitor the situation for me?" He replied, "Say no more. I'll have someone on it within 10. About 30 minutes into flight, while sipping water, the same flight attendant returned. She smiled now, too wide, too fake. "Mr. Roberts, would you like a hot towel? Or perhaps something to drink? On the house, of course." I smiled politely. "Water's fine." She stood awkwardly. "If there's anything at all we can do to make your flight more comfortable." Now, she was trying, because she knew. A ripple had gone through the airline. A note, a phone call, a quiet alarm. Suddenly, I wasn't just a hoodie-wearing passenger with a questionable boarding pass. I was somebody. But I wasn't done YET as soon as we landed. I waited at the terminal while others rushed off. The same flight attendant walked past me, still fake smiling. She looked relieved I didn't say anything. At baggage claim, I called my assistant again. Booked the same flight, same time, tomorrow. This time, booked all the first class seats. She paused. All of them. All of them. The next day, I returned. Same hoodie, same shoes, same gait. When the same attendant saw me, her face twisted in confusion, then dread. I boarded early, alone, and sat in 1A again. But this time, every first class seat around me stayed empty until I started inviting passengers from economy, mothers with children, elderly travelers, a soldier on leave, a nurse, a teacher. Each person walked past the stunned flight attendants and sat with disbelief as I handed them printed tickets. "Why are you doing this?" one passenger asked. I smiled, because respect is for everyone, not just the well-dressed. The story went viral within 48 hours. A passenger posted a TikTok. This black man just bought every first-class seat and gave them away to strangers, right in front of the staff who treated him like trash yesterday. Hashtags exploded. Hashtag first-class revenge. Hashtag respect the passenger. Hashtag power in silence. The airline issued an apology, publicly and directly. The gate agent and flight attendant were reassigned. More importantly, their corporate office reached out to me. "We want to partner with your company," the executive said. I paused. "We'll consider it, but only if your DI team sits in coach for a month." He laughed. I didn't. That moment, watching passengers walk up from economy, looking confused and joyful, it was more satisfying than any tweet or clapback ever could be, because it wasn't just about me. It was about every person who's ever been judged before being heard. I didn't yell. I didn't fight. I used power the way it was meant to be used. Not to hurt, but to heal. And sometimes to humble. Respect isn't a luxury. It's a human right. And when systems forget that, sometimes they need to be reminded. I didn't want revenge. I wanted recognition, not just for me, but for every quiet professional who's been passed over, ignored, or pushed aside. Power isn't loud. Sometimes it's wearing a hoodie, booking 12 seats in silence, and changing the narrative at 35,000 feet. If that story gave you chills, smash that like button and tell us in the comments, what's the most satisfying moment of justice you've ever seen? And if you ever feel underestimated, remember, your worth isn't decided by their standards. Subscribe for more powerful stories of quiet revenge, poetic justice, and ultimate redemption. Until next time, keep rising.